It's 8:35. I am Shaun Aquiline, and sitting in the studio across from me, running for council, is Rob Elliott. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Shaun.
Thank you for taking the time to come in and share a little bit of your story here so people can get to know you a little bit better for those that don't.
My pleasure.
So let's start with your stories. When I moved here, you were a part of RMR at the time. So how did you land here in Revelstoke?
That's quite a story, Shaun. I guess I started in Calgary after school. I ended up there working in accounting profession for several years. Realized after about 10 years that it just didn't suit me. I was meant to be somewhere close to the mountains. My little office was looking west to the mountains, so Canmore was the next stop. So after making the plunge commitment to move to Canmore, I started in a little restaurant there. Grew from a small cafe in a new neighborhood into a thriving business, and it just consumed my time. And then I opened another one as well, which again consumed more of my time. After about 10 years of that, I thought maybe a little simpler life would be more appropriate. I do the things I really moved to the mountains to do and ski. Canmore was changing dramatic, growing a little hectic with the two businesses and a young family just starting, and I was wrapped up this cycle where I just didn't have the free time, and it wasn't the life I wanted. Revelstoke was a great opportunity. My wife had relatives here and a few friends, and away we went.
And now you've been a contractor too as well. Tell me a little bit about the townhome that you just built just on the other side of the tracks.
Once I moved to Revelstoke, my wife, she owns the Modern Cafe, and her partner, they started that. I didn't want to go into the restaurant game, so then I moved to the resort, worked as a ski guide there at the cat operation for a number of years, and then into the general manager role, a changeover at the top end of the resort. And the general manager's role was a neat opportunity because it combined with my accounting stuff, my business background, and then it allowed me to try to make an impact in where I saw the resort going. After a few years of that, there was some complications and trickiness to the resort world, where the resort wanted to go and where I was, I was swinging for the fences, trying to make things happen. They worked with a different mentality and a different approach, not the freewheeling, free-flowing type of thing that I've kind of been used to with a couple of businesses, and my mental approach to things is a bit more freewheeling. There was a bit of an odd mix. After leaving the resort, the contracting, I purchased a bunch of land, tried to address the housing shortage was obviously faced by Revelstoke. The duplex was meant to be a stepping stone into a bigger development on the front part of the lot that I own. It was a replication of the old railway station. It was in Revelstoke about 40 years ago. It was torn down here, but it was a connection to the new Revelstoke. I was going to build it with a high efficiency in the center of town and add some 5 or 6 townhomes in that area.
So what is it that you see, being that you're a contractor and you understand that world, which is an excellent asset to have, what do you think this town really needs in terms of living? We talk a lot about, you hear the term affordable and attainable, and I could go on a tirade about the two very, very different words. And this is just me. What's affordable is different for everybody. I cannot afford what you can afford, and somebody else can't afford what I can afford, and around we go. But what's attainable? And there's not a lot that is attainable in town. So what is it, knowing what you know, your experience as a contractor, what would you like to see Revelstoke be?
Well, the number one issue right now I see is the housing. We've got a shortage. There's no new apartments. We hadn't had an apartment building constructed here in 20, 25 years. Density that comes with that. Affordable rents are the issue. The supply shortage that's in town is driving up the price. If the regulations or the process is so stifling that we can't build houses, it's going to affect everybody. The mill can't, or they can't find employees, or any restaurant in town can't find employees because they can't put them anywhere. There's no affordable housing. Trailers might be an option, but trying to finance a trailer it's buying them virtually, but then you can't find the financing to buy 30 or 40-year-old trailers that are in place. Housing is a bit of a crunch right now. On the fringes of our community, it adds infrastructure. Central location makes clear sense to me, is that we add density in the core, and we make we utilize the space well, and we make them efficient. And for our future, for a green community or proactive density, and is a bit of where we should be pushing towards.
Well, now that you've built a percentage of your dream on the other side of the tracks, and you understand a little bit of the city process, getting applications and permits, we could go down that road. We know it's been problematic, and you understand how that process works. and you understand the OCP. And I know that Aaron had mentioned that he wished in his time in council that he could see a change in the OCP or help be a part of that change. Do you feel, knowing what you know, that the OCP is in desperate need to be revamped despite the fact that it would come at a cost?
I think everybody involved in the council in the last session and this session realize the plan needs to be updated. It may not be a complete revision. I mean, there's some good things in the previous one. It just needs to be refreshed and simplified. We need to bring it down to a level that doesn't take 100 pages to go through to understand where we're going. And the message needs to be, this is the community we want, and everybody has to buy in. We'll all contribute. We just get our input right now. But once we get a solid picture, we need to keep the message out there. This is where we're going. We have a good vision statement for our town, a community that's sustainable and embracing all these different aspects. But that needs to be present in all our discussion. Our vision, this is what we want, and our plan to get there, and how we create it. And I think a lot of the decision-making and the process and the frustration that's present in our town and the dialogue that goes on that gets very heated is the result of an uncertain direction. We don't know as a community where we're going. And we're going to have a tough time getting there if we don't know where we're going.
Now, being that you have a unique perspective on this because you are a contractor, so you understand the red tape, you understand why things didn't go the way that they did. How did you feel during that, and what was your thought process when all of that was going on as a contractor?
Not only from a contractor's perspective, I think there was a complication. The first rendition that was put forward up at in that area was for Steve Platt. Yeah, it was a hotel, maybe an 8-story hotel with a possible casino associated with it. The mistake then is that he was a developer that came forward with an idea, and it was evaluated, and we sort of vetoed the height, and we vetoed the casino approach. And I said, where was the negotiation? Why couldn't we create something interesting or some compromise to make it work? 3 or 4 years later, the mall on the block as an option. And again, there were a couple of businesses in town that felt it was a threat. I'm not anti-competition. I'm pro-competition. It makes everybody better. I just don't think in the mall case, it was all or nothing. We could have found something, I think anyway. The problem I have is that where was the negotiating? Where did we come up with an idea? Why couldn't we compromise and come up with something that worked for our town? As a builder, that's one thing. That's a different perspective. But as a developer or someone who's in business, I look at it and say, well, we don't want to build that reputation as stop. You come up with a proposal, put a lot of work into it, come up with all these different, the structural design things, all the things that go into that, and then get vetoed. And I said, we do it once, we do it twice, and it's just ongoing. And every time there's something new that comes to town, there's such angst that goes on. You don't want your reputation as a town to come out like that. If people have this fear of coming to Revelstoke, or every time they come here, there's just a battle to get something done, that's a sorry state, and I think we need to address that.
No, you're pretty passionate about that, and that is what you just said is nothing that I haven't heard from other people in town that are contractors as well, and it makes sense. They're concerned. It's their livelihood. That's how they feed their kids and themselves. So with that being said, why have you decided to throw your name into the ring?
I've thought quite a bit about this. As I get older, I mellow. I think my opinions are coming out. Instead of just ranting about it and throwing, adding to this tension and dialogue, I think I'd rather pitch in on a constructive manner and try to add a sensible voice to the discussion at the council level and the political level. I think to have more impact. And that's what I would, if I can contribute, I think I absorb a lot of different things. I look at things differently, and I'll find a creative way to make things work. That's what I can bring to the table, and maybe some experience as well. I think I have a solid background in tourism, forestry, construction, business, accounting, all these different things that'll add value to the role. And that's why I think I can contribute to leave an impact for the future.
Well, that was my next question for you is what is the qualities that you're going to bring to that table?
I think I can listen, and I am receptive to new ideas. I'm passionate about Revelstoke. I'm a strong advocate. When I was working at the resort, I was swinging for the fences. I wanted Revelstoke to win. I couldn't believe that we weren't achieving, it wasn't moving faster. And that's part of the biggest thing for leaving the resort is that I just felt that I wanted to push faster than I was willing to move. I can listen to people. I can relate to people, and I think that's an important part. And I will try to improve the communication. I think I'm all for simpler government. I don't like red tape. I don't like obstacles, and I would do my best to get rid of them.
Speaking of red tape, do you feel that you might be a good intermediary between city council, city staff, contractors, and the planning department, that you would understand that a little bit more than, say, well, use me, I don't want to use others as an example, being that I don't have experience in that you think you might be better fitted for that position to help ease some of that tension that's been going on for the last year and a half?
I think I can play a good role, yes. The direction that goes through communications, I think that's a failure on our city's part. I mean, I think there's a communication plan that's in the works. I think it's just long overdue. You know, the DCC, it was a PR nightmare. I think that could have been so much better, and it didn't need to happen the way it did. I think I can play a good role in that. I mean, I think the council is, if you're looking at a business perspective, it would be the board of directors. You know, the Alan Chabot, the CAO, is the mediator from the big decision realm to the operation realm is Alan's role. He should be the line of communication. But I think we, as a city, need someone who can broadcast the message for both, and I think that's an important role. Maybe we should consider it. Along with that, I think we should need someone. Right now, our housing issue is a major. I think we need someone in that role who can mediate the world from the builders to the administration and the development crew. I mean, everyone's working with good intent, and they want to do well, and no one goes to work and says, I'm going to do a crappy job today. They're trying to do well. Yeah. It's just it's unfortunate the way things have gone, and we've gotten to the point where things just escalate, and we've gotten to a point where it's very, very troubling right now, and I hope we can improve that quickly.
With that said, Rob, is there anything that I didn't ask that you would like the listener to know about you moving forward?
I'm a coffee addict. I'm a serious coffee addict.
I'm sure a few people went, yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm open to conversation. You find me at the local shop. I love talking about Revelstoke. I love talking about things we can do to make things better. So if you find me there, let's have a chat.
How can anybody get a hold of you if they have specific questions for you?
You can find me at a local coffee shop quite often. My telephone number is 250-200-0222, 2000-222, easy way. My email address is Robert S. Elliott at hotmail.com. Elliott's got 2 L's, 2 T's. Or you can catch me on Facebook, Robert Stephen Elliott.
You still use Hotmail?
I know, it's a dinosaur.
Well, thank you, Rob, for coming in. If you'd like to have a chat with Rob, that's the way to get a hold of him. And just make sure the coffee's decaf. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.